Welcome back to the show. Now, the Ministry of Finance has announced that it will shut down the Payroll Deduction Management System, you might know it as PDMS, by the 30th of November, a move that will directly impact thousands of government employees. So voluntary deductions such as loan payments, union fees and insurance premiums will no longer be processed that is via the government payroll. This major shift has raised some questions about, how civil servants will manage monthly payments and access financial services going forward. This morning, we have invited, that is Dr. Michael Humavindu, who's the Executive Director from the Ministry of Finance, to unpack, this directive and explain what it means for employees and financial institutions alike. Doctor, so happy you could be here. So many questions. Good morning and welcome to the show. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for inviting us.
All right. I think if we can start, maybe just an overview of exactly how the system worked, the PDMS system, and why the ministry is doing away with this or phasing out this system now.
Thank you. PDMS is basically deducting your obligations or your debt at source from the government payroll. And normally that includes what we call statutory obligations, so things like your home loans or things like your that are perhaps court orders, child maintenance fees, for example. And your introduction says we are doing away with it. We are not doing away with it. What we are basically doing is something that was started already in the late 2000, early 2000, where industry came together with the central bank, the ministry, and look as to what is causing this huge over-indebtedness of government employees in terms of us having this system. So then the industry itself decided to create from 2010, they were encouraged through the central bank to create a very enhanced debit order system, which is called ENDO. That was introduced in 2021.
Okay.
And then what is happening with us is that the current contract of allowing deduction code at source is ending on the 30th of November.
Okay.
So we are not doing away with the system. What essentially what we are saying is that given the fact that that contract is ending, let us also come together and see how we can either enhance it or look at other ways on how to do it. So in the letter that we sent to the industry, the ministry basically said, since that contract is ending, and that now speaks to a public procurement function, we will in the meantime take over that process. However, for what we call discretionary issues, lending, the new ones, let's all migrate to ENDO, which was created by the industry. And for those ones that are currently existing, so for example, if you have a personal loan currently, say, with one of the banks or the micro lenders, the ministry will carry that until it expires. But a new one thereafter, you now need to go to what the industry created, which is called the ENDO, Enhanced Debit Order Platform, which is for all industry. Why was that created? Because some of the micro lenders and other financial institutions felt that they are being excluded from the Ministry of Finance deduction code system. So the industry then said, let's create an open field where all of us can participate.
Yeah.
Thank
you very much for that context there, Doctor. Is there a possibility that it could be revised based on the outcomes?
Yes, we are busy doing stakeholder consultations. We still have to consult our leadership. Our minister have to go to the highest levels. Today we have a consultation with the industry. On Friday we will meet the unions. We will also continue speaking to some of the institutions that might be affected going forward. But of course also working with the regulators, Bank of Namibia, NAMFISA, who are also going to be in the stakeholder consultations, making the presentations, and not only the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah, thank you so much. What we also do know, Dr. Humavindu, is that the ministry mentioned that there will be a 3-month transition period. So all good and well, what happens in this 3 months, what happens after the 3 months? But we also want to know, are there some sort of, financial literacy campaigns perhaps that are also happening during this time?
Yeah, very important is that you would want obviously to ensure that, as we said, we are going to carry the existing codes, deduction matters, all the way until they expire. But in the next 3 months, we will wish the industry then to start migrating to the platform that they have created, which is ENDO, right?
ENDO, yeah.
And then obviously we will also in these next 3 months look at if there are other alternatives in terms of the current system of co-deduction management system. As I said, that's a public procurement matter. So there you have to go to the Central Procurement Board if you have a solution that you want to pursue after this contract ends.
Yeah.
And that is really why I said we need 3 months for us to be able to see how would the new system look like.
Yeah.
Let us also not forget that there are other matters being worked on. We have a national consumer credit law that is being worked with NAMFISA, the ministry, that tries to create now a balance between debtors and creditors. Okay. So all these things around how to ensure that creditors now are able to compete fairly with each other, debtors knows their rights, financial literacy, we have a financial literacy division in the ministry. All these things within these 3 months, we should come up with a strategy that supports us in the new PDMS system beyond where we are now.
Fantastic, Doctor. Any risk-based concerns, for instance, like from the Bank of Namibia, that you can highlight for us here?
Of course, there's a lot of concerns which are valid, both from debtors and creditors. Of course, if you are a debtor and you have been a creditor and you have been used to not necessarily doing a lot of work trying to assess whether you are credible, credit credible, and you just basically get your payment from the source, from the payroll of the government, you are now have to see how your systems can create what we call viable affordability assessments procedures within your institution. Okay. And that is also in the consumer credit law that we are now instituting that creditors must have affordability assessments. It doesn't help to provide loans to someone and that person ends up with a $15 after all deductions per month. Yeah. We are not doing all of us a favor having such systems, but also you wish that the debtors also take part in financial literacy campaigns that are there. It's all our responsibility as mature individuals to be able to see how we can then start managing our finances, personal finances, in a manner that becomes sustainable for us and our households.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I wanted to actually ask you to highlight, just to tell us what long-term benefits this would be for the ministry, but also for the employees and the lenders, but I think you just did that. But if anything, would you like to just leave us with your final words here for the Namibian nation?
Yeah, it's just important to stress that we are working from a base that started already in the early 2000s. And a lot of things have happened in between. Yeah. And just to reiterate that a contract is ending on the 30th of November. It doesn't mean that the system is being phased out. It's an opportunity for us now to see how do we align and how do we bring in the new legislation that I've mentioned. The Central Bank has also issued a directive way back, PSD7, which really also bring all these aspects together. The Payment Association of Namibia, which is the private sector, is basically also the ones that said, let's come up with ENDO so that we are able then to have a level playing field, and so that not a few of us have deduction at source. So let's see how the new system and how the new future or the new ecosystem then would pan out after these consultations. Yeah, but we wish that all Namibians can support this approach.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the clarity. Appreciate it, Doctor.
Thank you for inviting us.